What's up everybody? Today we have an educational video about how to build a TOA Homunculus because I see so many people doing it so very wrong. So we're going to go over the skills, we're going to go over the runes, etc, etc. This is my TOA Homunculus on my Europe server. His name is got a good name, YD Peepee Butt. I can't think of a better name for a homunculus than YD Peepee Butt. So he basically needs to have all his skills based on crowd control. He needs to be fast, and he needs to have this accuracy is a little bit of overkill. He doesn't need this much accuracy, but he should be fast and a little bit on the tanky side. Some people I've seen a decent amount of people putting crit damage on slot 4 with like plus 30 speed, crit damage on slot 4, and like almost no crit rate, like less even than this. And it's not like I've seen like one person, two people do. It's like I've seen like half a dozen people or more doing it. I don't know why. I don't know why. He does damage based on his dots. So if you do a dot build, damage over time, continuous damage build, then you don't really need the crit damage because that's what's killing them is the continuous damage. So we have the first skill, Frost Ray Fluctuate, AoE Freeze. Nice first skill. Now this is for the TOA Homunculus, the water homunculus for the TOA build. It's not the farming build. Farming build would be a different build. You would want the crit damage on there. We want high crit rate. But for this, you don't want high crit rate. You want to do the damage based on the continuous damage, right? And you want to be fast, so he keeps cycling his turns and has more access to his skill 3, has more access to CC, etc, etc. So fast, high accuracy, low crit rate. This way it doesn't proc like ragdolls or joltons, right? So those are some of the stipulations. I know some of you might be asking yourself, like, do I need this if I have a Varad? I would say you could definitely build this and have Varad both on the same team. That's just extra CC, and he also does the continuous damage. So if you have other stuff that does continuous damage, you probably don't need him. But he's a great. He's like Varad plus Rika. He's like those two. If you have Rika, you might not need him. If you have Rika, you could just build Rika and him and just do crazy amounts of dots, right? But basically, skill 1 freeze, skill 2 attacks all enemies, decrease their attack bar by 30%, with a 50% chance. So it's I mean, this is kind of counterproductive to the amount of dots that he's gonna put on, but it still does CC, right? So you can still stun, you can still decrease attack gauge. And then Ice Mist attacks all enemies, inflict 2 continuous damage effects for 2 turns. Okay, continuous damage, whatever Beretta does the same thing. But continuous damage effect is additionally added for each harmful effect on the enemy's 50% chance. So he just does more dots. He just does more dots, right? One of the beautiful things about building a homunculus, like if you want to use a homunculus for R5 or TOA, like all of them have different builds. But if you Devilmon a homunculus and then you're like, I don't need to use him anymore, I have another unit that's better for this thing, you can just switch his skills to something else. And then you can still have, and he's got Devilmons, and it's not really wasted Devilmons because you can just switch him to a different build and use him for something else and rerun him for a different purpose. So one of the beautiful things, and you could reset skills by either crystals or by these crystals or other crystals, right? Crystals or other crystals. But this is the build, basically all the bottom is the build that I like to use for the TOA. The Wind Homunculus is good for Necropolis and stuff like that. The Fire one is good for like the Windrift Beast and R5 and well, the Wind one is actually good for R5 too. So, but this is the TOA one. So here's the runes: speed, HP, accuracy. Again, he doesn't not need this much accuracy. Focus. You can do speed, HP, defense, speed, HP, HP. But yeah, it's kind of the don't need to go crit rate build because he's doing damage based on his continuous damage, and you don't want him to crit to proc Ragdoll and proc Jolton because he's going to be good for those stages that like bad things happen when you crit. So anyway, that's how I like to build him. Let's see him in some action.